Today I'm going to be giving you guys my most anticipated Halloween Horror Nights haunted houses here at Universal Studios Hollywood, literally live from Universal Studios Hollywood as I'm looking over the lower lot right now at Jurassic World The Ride. Let's get into all the juicy haunted house news up next. Hello everyone, welcome back to Exploring Attractions. My name is Scott and you're watching your stop for all things theme park and attraction related. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button down below, those bell notifications on, and leave this video a like at the very end if you do enjoy it. But that's right everybody, it's kind of a different change of scenery here as I'm not in my typical room / studio. I'm here on the top deck of the lower lot, looking at the beautiful lower lot and just watching Jurassic World pass by if you do hear it going past in the background. But the reason we're here today is to break down all my most anticipated haunted houses. And keep in mind, this is just my list based off what they've shared as far as concept goes and what they've talked about and stuff like that. So I want to know your guys' list down below in the comment section as far as what you guys are most excited for Halloween Horror Nights 2024 at Universal Studios Hollywood. Keep in mind, since we will be going to HHN Orlando this year, we'll also be making an anticipation video for that, so stay tuned on the channel for that list as well. But let's get into it everybody. Let's go down and start from the very bottom. So I took a week or so to kind of change the list up. I mean, I really only changed one thing. So number 8 is gonna go to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Originally I had Texas Chainsaw Massacre last. Why did I have it last? Well, because I was like, I've seen it a million times, so I feel like it's just kind of overdone now. However, after really processing Murdy's panel at Midsummer Scream, I was like, okay, you know what? It's gonna be a little bit better than expected. So Ghostbusters Frozen Empire comes in at my number 8, not because I don't think they'll be able to pull it off. You don't need something to be scary necessarily to it be a haunted house or be brought to life. As Murdy's talked about before, there's a new genre of horror where you can literally turn anything into a Halloween Horror Nights haunted house. I mean, they could literally have a purple minion house, which I've been talking about for years as a joke. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I just don't see it being a huge success. I am excited to see what they do with the giant characters at the very end of the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, spoiler ahead, I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, so spoiler ahead, there's a big creature at the very end, and I'm assuming that this is going to be a Stilts character in the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire haunted house. But yeah, it's just not as high on the anticipation list compared to everything else on the list. Not to say I'm not excited for it, it's just not as exciting as the other ones. With that, we move into number 7, which of course is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is a legacy house, or as Murdy likes to call it, a multiverse house. We're going to be seeing all different forms of Leatherface in this haunted house experience. We're going to see Chop Top. We are going to see the whole Sawyer family. The facade looks absolutely incredible. I just got off the studio tour and I saw the facade, and honestly the facade surprises me how detailed it is and how amazing it looks. So very exciting stuff there. I think, like I said, after watching the Midsummer Scream presentation, I was a lot more sold on this. When they first announced it, I was like, okay, I don't know, this is kind of a bummer. And then they started talking about it a little bit more. I was like, oh, this is pretty freaking cool, to be honest. So with that being said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre does come in at my number 7 as far as most anticipated haunted houses for HHN 2024. Let's see here, number 6, we have Insidious. For me, I think that I'm really excited for Insidious, and while it's lower on my list, I feel like a lot of people also have this lower on their list just because it's another one of those things where it's like, oh, we've seen it a million different times, how exactly is it going to work out without it being super repetitive? However, this is kind of like a tribute to all of the Insidious movies, as well as the recent one being The Red Door. So I definitely think that it'll be very good. I am one of those few who's like, you know what, even if it's bad, I feel like I'm still gonna be happy with it, because for me, I really love the Insidious movies. So anytime that they bring Insidious back, I'm like, okay, I'm all for it, because the houses that I've been through in the past with Insidious, when they've come to Hollywood, literally right down there, right below us, for one of them before, back in 2014, they have been absolutely terrifying. So I'm all for it. I think it all depends, for people who are diehard fans of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, obviously that would be higher on their list. Just like for me, I'm a big fan of Insidious, so while yes, it's still lower on my list and it may be even some people's last, for me, it's a little bit higher because I like the movie so much. Number 5 is another one that's located in the lower lot in the extended queue of the Mummy location, which is Dead Exposure Death Valley. I believe that this was our second haunted house announced for Horror Nights, or first. No, I'm pretty sure it was our second. I don't know. It's been so long since they announced it. So much anticipation has been built for this house because they had Dead Exposure Patient Zero over in Orlando. And while yes, this is a different storyline, I do think it's going to pack a punch. I definitely think that this will be an underdog house. I really think it's going to be good just from everything that creative's been talking about and Murdy's been posting on X and everything. I think that it's definitely going to surprise a lot of people, and I think that it's going to honestly scare the living crap out of some people as well. I can't really go into too much as far as why I'm excited for Dead Exposure Death Valley, because there's really no story other than what was posted with the concept and everything in the press release. I just feel like with original houses here in Hollywood, they do a very good job at them. I mean, Holidays in Hell was very strong. We've seen the success of the Latin American houses with La Llorona, Monstros, and now Monstros number 2. I definitely think that this one, they're going to knock it out of the park with, and the facade looks absolutely incredible just for an original house. They're really doing all that work in detail for an original house. So that being said, Dead Exposure Death Valley comes in at my number 5. All right, everyone, we're getting close to our top 3, but we can't ignore number 4. Number 4 is A Quiet Place. This will be located upstairs in the Walking Dead location, their former Walking Dead location. They are promising to do some of the most crazy things that they've ever done with any haunted house. Murdy just recently talked about they are installing creatures in there actively right now, literally this week, and they are promising to utilize like ASL inside of this haunted house experience. So I think it's going to make for a really unique haunted house. I think that like this is something that we've never seen before because it's a haunted house, but you have to be quiet throughout it. So how they're going to utilize audio and how they're going to utilize the monsters kind of screeching in the background, making it feel like they're super far away, when in reality they're going to jump out of you out of nowhere. I think this house is really going to thrive. Not to mention the fact that that building is completely scrapped out now. It's a black box. With Evil Dead Rise and Universal Horror Hotel the past 2 years, they still had the permanent Walking Dead walls up. Well, now it's a black box. It's completely empty in there. So they definitely have a lot of space to utilize for A Quiet Place haunted house. And if you're a Universal Pass member, during the early weeks of September, from like Monday through Wednesday at select times, you actually have the opportunity to step foot in A Quiet Place haunted house with the lights on. So you can reserve or RSVP on August 21st, so that's next week. August 21st is when you can RSVP to do a lights on tour, a free lights on tour if you're a pass member for the Quiet Place haunted house here at Universal Studios Hollywood. All right, now we are in the top 3. A little bit more difficult for me, I should say, because I'm really excited for all these 3 haunted house experiences. I think they're all going to rock. They're going to be very amazing. And I think that while yes, my ranking may change a little bit when I walk through them, I think it's still going to be a tough competition to rank them at the end of the season as well. But my number 3 most anticipated house this year is Monstros number 2, The Nightmares of Latin America. Monstros last year was very, very strong. I mean, they put a freaking animatronic inside of that house. If it's anything like last year's, it's going to rock. Like Monstros last year was incredible, between Muerte, between La Lechuza, El Sabon, La Talapuchi. Everything about that haunted house experience was incredible. And not to mention, while yes, Monstros number 2 is going to be very strong and they're going to utilize different technology in this, and obviously a lot of the creatures are going to have red eyes as we've seen in the concept art, but on top of that, we are getting a scare zone right after it, which is a luchador scare zone. They're literally, I was just up there earlier today and they put like an actual wrestling ring in the scare zone. That's like insane, that's crazy. Overall though, I mean, the facade looks pretty. The construction walls are already down. There's so much detail on the facade, a lot more detail compared to Monstros last year, so that's also a good sign. The big gates leading you into the actual experience is like really intimidating. Like they're taller than most people, so it's like, whoa, that's crazy. So I think there's some hidden surprises and everything inside of Monstros number 2, The Nightmares of Latin America, which we'll discover on September 5th, opening night. Here we go though, number 1 and 2. And I think this is obvious for those of you guys who have been watching the channel, those of you guys who have been watching me have a wish list and have watched me experience this specific haunted house back in 2022. However, that's not number two. Number two is Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, an all-female led cast here. Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines we also heard a little bit about during the Midsummer Scream panel, and he shared some different photos and everything of the concepts in the elevation. He didn't really give too much away though, so that could mean one of two things: that they're either hiding something from us, or that there's something really, really cool in there. So either or, I mean, being in a new soundstage, literally in the old Voice soundstage, and where some of the most iconic Universal Monster horror movies were filmed, I think this house is really going to thrive. I'm really excited to see Universal Monsters inside of a soundstage. I think it's going to thrive in a soundstage rather than just being inside of a tent. But yes, Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines is my second most anticipated haunted house for this year's event, which means there's a spot for number one open, and that is The Weeknd Nightmare Trilogy. Now, I know what some comments are going to say: The Weeknd's not horror, and I literally just talked about that in Ghostbusters, whatever. You know, The Weeknd, he proved that he is some form of genre of horror. Back at the After Hours Nightmare Haunted House, it was really incredible, and it was scary. Well, yes, it wasn't the scariest haunted house. There were plenty of scary moments in it, like the very last scene at the end with the messed up plastic surgery. That was really intimidating, really gory, and really terrifying stuff. Now that they're bringing After Hours back, and now Dawn FM, and a brand new twist at the end, which a lot of people are speculating that it could be his brand new album, I definitely think that The Weeknd Nightmare Trilogy is going to be very, very strong this year. Definitely going to be one of the most popular haunted houses for sure, as it was back in 2022. And like I said, I'm indifferent about this because I feel like a lot of people are indifferent about it. Some people are like, cool, The Weeknd's coming, it's in the middle of my list. Some people are like, I absolutely hate this thing, and there should be other bands that come to Halloween Horror Nights. And there's people like me who are all for it. You know, I've seen the 2022 version, who are pretty freaking excited. So my most anticipated house this year for Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood here at Universal Studios is The Weeknd Nightmare Trilogy. Whew, okay everybody, but I am sweating. I am super hot. Luckily I'm filming this in the shade, and I'm filming an update, so make sure you guys are subscribed so you can see all of the updates around Universal Studios Hollywood. But let me know down below in the comment section what your guys' hype list is, your anticipation list. I'll be really interested to see it down below. Remember, these are just my opinions on what I'm excited for. Make sure to subscribe with those bell notifications on, and leave this video a like if you did enjoy it. But as for today, my name is Scott. You've been watching Exploring Attractions. Positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace out, everybody.